This is Jay. This is my submission for your take home assessment, and let's get right to it. So, first and foremost, my priority for this project was control and precision. I have made this project to be used by large companies who want velocity into the day to day projects and precision to ensure that the AI does not hallucinate on whatever requirements we generate. So for control, we can revise, modify, regenerate, and approve anything at any point in this project. And then for precision, we make sure to generate the product requirement document as a modular document rather than putting in the entire thing at once. Same goes for sprint plan, text talk, and system design plan. So I'll just get right to the demo. So imagine this client has a requirement. So I had this actual requirement for I worked on this a chatbot for my university, Santa Clara University, for students to get answers on their most frequent questions like what would be the fees of a particular course, or how much longer is the college open, and what's the timing. So rather than flooding the staff with it, I was like tasked to make a chatbot for it. So if we press that here, if we put that in now, we can see what happens. In here, my initial thought of my design philosophy was that we need context for this, right? So suppose a client only pays this much of a requirement. Of course, we can generate a lot of PRD document and entirety of it within like 2 minutes, right? But a good PRD document and a bad PRD document, they look similar but they are completely different, and a good PRD document will lead to less bugs in your project, right? So what I thought I can do is that I can add this little detailed more in here. And initially when we just put in a requirement, one LLM call will determine the category to which this requirement belongs. So it acts as a classifier with multiple parameters that put it in one or more topics or category, so we can get more context on what this particular software domain this belongs to, right? And once we have that, another LLM calls gets all the relevant questions regarding that particular category and your requirement. So we can see that here. For this, I have used Grok and their free API plan. This has also caused me to optimize a lot of my project. So we can see that now. So we can see that there's a few questions that it is asking me based on this requirement, because we haven't really specified who the requirement is for, what metrics will be used to ensure that it is the correct requirement, when should we stop, what are the functional requirements and all that. So this is what the software asks. So the client can answer multiple choices, which whatever they want. They can also have their custom answers put in here, right? So I'll just select and go something like this, and we are compliant with FERPA. So you can also skip questions if you're in a hurry, so there's also an option to that. If we click generate PRD, we can see that there's a bunch of different cards, right? So this is the main PRD document. Another of this will be contributed to research cards. So we will have research for the metrics in use cases, benchmarks, and scope. This is a separate and compliance also. So these are 4 separate LLM calls that run independent of this original PRD LLM call, because I wanted to make sure that the metrics, benchmarks, and use cases that we have are linked to real life use cases and not something that AI can just make up, So with this, I also have the source of where it found this. So I am using research and web search for this, and this is in the compound model for Grok. Once we have all this research and the generated PRD document, we should have an entire final thing that is generated, crafted by AI and merged for our review. So there we go. We can see that this is the document that we have. Uh, this is the entire document. You can also change your document via inline edits right here. So you can like just edit here whatever you want. You can also edit if you select these documents. So let me go back to that compliance thing. Yeah. So if you were to decide now that, oh, you don't need FERPA compliance, right? You can just comment on this that we don't need FERPA compliance in this project anymore. Remove it. We can see that there are changes to be marked. We can do that for everything that we want to change. We want the AI to change. We can also put in overall comments for this. Same goes for the chat that is on the left side. We can also use that. And once we have this, we can put in revise. Yeah. So like this, we can also generate the PDF. Here you can see the PDF. Everything is properly formatted to a single page for every single thing, and we can show that what is our problem, what is our intention, what is our goal. We also have a TLDR at the start, like a number 0. We have our primary users, our secondary users, because this is essential to know who is gonna be using our product. We have our goals. Next we have functional and non-functional requirements here somewhere. Oh yeah, there's also research that these LLM calls did, so we have the grounded data for what we want our product to be. There we go. There's the functional requirement and the sustained call. There's a functional and non-functional requirement. There's also data privacy, security, compliance, roles and permissions, analytics, rollout, and dependencies. So you can go ahead and save this. Once you have this in place, you can click proceed to system design. I also color coded this entire thing within 3 colors. So for generating PRD, we could use the color blue. For generating system design documents, I put in the color yellow, and in the last sprint, we can entire theme changes to color green. That's just the UI change that I decided to go with. So once we have fixed our context problem, we have a solid PRD document, right? We can see that this document right here is fully what we exactly want to have, and this is static. So even for the PRD, we have a template for ensuring consistent generations across all the cases. Yeah, we can see that the design and test documents are being generated right now. So in the design and template document, I have chosen to go with overview, goals, architecture, key components, data model, API interfaces, data flow, scalability, and other stuff. Reliability, observability, trade-offs. So we have this complete document that corresponds exactly to the PRD that we generated earlier. We can also change whatever we want here, just like the other PRD document. We can edit, download the MD and the PDF file that we want. Once we have this, we can go ahead and click proceed, and this will give us to the sprint document, which is the final step for our PR manager program. So in sprint goal, the output is user stories in a table, which I took from the Atlassian research. It is grounded in PRD requirements and system design document. It will provide a sprint goals, sprint details, the backlog details, the epics overview, the stories that we have, what can comprise as done, the dependencies risk, and how we can improve our stuff. So again, we can also edit, control, comment anything, we can change anything, we can export and ask questions right here on the left side. Once we have this, once we are happy with everything turned out, we can click proceed and finish. This will give us all the documents in a zip file that we can download and do whatever we want. I also had this idea to provide a collaborative environment using the edit button. So like if you press edit, you can send a link to this document in real time to your friends, like how you can, or your team, so they can edit in real time and we can discuss if there are any changes to be made. But since this is running in localhost, I decided to not do that right now. So once we go ahead and proceed and finish, we can see that all documents are ready here. We have the PRD, system design, test specification, and sprint backlog properly formatted in a good professional way. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and download. This will give us a zip file. There we go. So we have our markdowns. We can also export it to PDF if we want to. Yeah, so that is my project. I hope you like it and consider me. I really did spend a lot of time making it and thinking all the design through. So I hope you will consider me for this position, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you have, and any choice that I'll explain any choice that I made. I also provided this link in the design MD file, along with everything that I've said in detail there, so you can also go through that. Thank you very much. I hope you have a nice weekend.